Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sistah Girls Book Club. We are doing our first ever review, and we're reviewing Love Belvin's Love Unaccounted series. So we have here Lisa, Alexis, Saida, and myself. My name is Cherie, and we're going to do a summary of the book. So Lisa's going to give us a summary. Hey, Lisa.
Hey. Okay. In Love Belvin's Love Unaccounted series, we meet two characters on different paths to find mates for very different reasons. We meet Alexis, our late 20 around girl from Harlem, and Ezra, the pastor of the largest megachurch in the northeast of the United States. One is looking for a mate for security, and the other to fulfill a promise, a covenant made with God 7 years earlier. Over the course of the three books, we delve into both Lex and Ezra's past and present to better understand their temperaments and quirks. While both enter this union expecting to have their initial needs met, neither are prepared for the course of action of their hearts. Both parties eventually learn that compromise and communication make for the best partnership, even when you concede to making your own rules.
Your intro was very, so angelic. Well, we just want to show you all three of the books. So now we're going to get into the actual cover design. So pop up those covers.
Okay.
Okay. So we got all three covers up.
Yeah.
We got In Covenant with Ezra is the blue cover, and In Love with Ezra is the purple cover, and Bonded with Ezra is obviously the black one. But they're the first, second, and third. It goes from, what is it, right to left?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how did everybody feel about the cover of the first book?
Alexis, you start.
I like the cover of the first book. It had mystery to it, kind of like Ezra's character when we first met him in Love's previous series, and much like in the book. So I really dug the first cover. I like the color, I like the mask. I loved it.
And I agree with Lex. I like the cover for the same reason. The mask did aid to the mystery behind Ezra. If you read previous Love Belvin's work, you knew who he was, but you didn't know anything about this character. So in the book one, it still didn't show us who Ezra was really. So, and it alludes to the mask that Lex always said that he was wearing during the different phases of their relationship. So I did like it, and I definitely like the color of the cover.
Saida?
Okay, so we talking about the first book, or we talking about all three books?
Covenant with Ezra, the blue cover.
So the first book with the mask, I wasn't really too fond of it. It's not one of my favorite covers of the entire series. And I don't know if it had anything to do with the graphics, but it just wasn't appealing to me. But the book itself is great, but I guess we'll talk about that later.
I like the cover, and I'll say this. I always say, when it comes to covers, if I would just skip over it when I walked into, a Barnes & Noble or any bookstore or anything. So I like the cover, but, I think I said this before, if it looks like it does on the computer screen. So on the computer screen, it's very vibrant and, it jumps out at you. But if the cover was, a matte finish, in my hands, the actual cover, didn't look like the exact same thing on the computer, I wouldn't like it. If it looks anything different, sometimes on the computer the covers can look a little bit better, and then you get in your hand, it has this kind of I would say a matte finish. So I like the cover overall, but like I said, if it doesn't look the exact same way in my hands, then I wouldn't like it. So for the next book, In Love with Ezra, that's the girl with the hair, and she kind of emulates the main character, Alexis. So what y'all think about that?
I liked it. I dug it. I agree. It emulates. He talked about her hair. He liked it wild and untamed. So you're right. The cover's right on point.
And I third that, but I think what I liked about it most is it showed the confident Alexis. In the book, we meet two different Alexises. We meet the vulnerable Alexis and we meet the confident Alexis. And the cover alludes to the confident, I'm sure of myself, around the way girl. And I know a lot of people probably look at this cover and where are you getting all this from? All you see is her hair on her neck. But from her neck, you can tell how this woman is standing. You can tell her spine is straight, right, you can tell her spine is straight. She's standing with an air of confidence about herself. She's not bent over, hunched over, her shoulders are back, her hair is wild. I know if I saw this woman full fledged, she'd be, she'd be in her stuff.
Mm-hmm. Saida.
I agree with Lisa. I mean, her analogy, I wasn't thinking about it like that, but now that she said it, that makes a lot of sense. It makes me like that cover even more. I think the thing that I like the most about this particular cover is that you couldn't see Lex's face. And I don't know, that was just alluring to me because it's like I could put anybody's face to this book, like any girl around the way that's like confident and who's doing it, who this reminds you of a Lex. Every girl has a little bit of Lex in her. So I actually like this cover. I like that her hair was out. It was wild. It was free. It was finding her own. It was finding her own confidence, which through this particular part of the series, you start to see more of Lex and who she is. And so I really enjoyed this cover. That it appealed to me a lot.
I like this cover a lot actually too. I thought it looked very beautiful. I thought the girl, I mean, it lets you know that it's a story about a black girl off the bat. Like, you don't have to guess. It's not like saying, oh, we don't know. Shorty black, she got long, beautiful hair. It just gives you a certain thing. If you're walking down the aisle, you don't know what's what. Because I'm thinking, like I always say, I think about me. I don't pick up books all the time and just look at the back. I just want to like smooth, like, browse through right quickly. And even on like when you go on like sites that sell books, sometimes you just scrolling through, and that alone just might make me stop. So off that, I just really, really love this cover. It's my favorite cover out the series actually. And lastly, we're going to talk about the Bonded with Ezra cover. So what did you guys think of that?
I like the Bonded with Ezra cover. When I first saw it, I'm like, oh, this guy. Like, I like it. Doesn't really show much of him, but you can tell it's like a reserved cover, partial, shot of him. Not really, yeah, I guess you could say partial. A man of faith. I thought it was clean cover. I like it.
Um, for me, it was my least favorite of the three covers, but I still liked it. Not to say I disliked it. I still liked it. It showed who Ezra was. It showed what was important to him. From the way he dressed, he was always dressed immaculate, to his prayer life, hence his hands in prayer position. And though it only showed partial of his face, the features that we were told about in the books were the features that were on the cover, his lips and his beard. And those were the two main features that we know as readers. So,
Lisa, you was doing your damn homework.
Yes.
Saida. She got me back thoughts. I'm like, what?
We're not doing that. That's not what we're doing.
I mean, that's what makes this the conversation. So, and about the review, we can be, real. All right, Saida, what did you think of this? Yep, please don't go too.
I really like this cover because it put a name to a face for me for Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I expected him to have, I mean, you can't see his entire face, but from the features we can see, I don't know, like I thought he would look just a little older because Ezra is older than Lex in the book. Mm-hmm. However, you can tell that he's very refined, and I like that. So the first cover is just the mask, so we don't know what these characters look like yet, so we're trying to piece together. The in-between cover is more like, okay, we're starting to see who Lex is, and then this last series, you see more of who Ezra is because majority of the book we are talking about Ezra and how he's feeling and what he's going through. So I appreciate that the last book, it kind of made everything come full circle. So that's why I think I appreciated this particular cover.
My turn. Yeah, I don't like this cover at all, actually. I don't. You can put the covers back up again because I think it took it out.
It did?
Yeah,
you don't like anything.
It's back up. I'm sorry, it's back up. Was it back up? I can't see it for some reason.
I can see it.
They're up. I don't know. I didn't do anything.
Oh, but it's not showing. I can see that it's up, but it's not.
You know what the cover look like. If you don't explain yourself.
Well, I'm trying to get it back to where I'm getting it to why I don't like the cover. Number one, because now you get me upset. I don't know, because I can see it in her little box or whatever, but I can't see her face. And I'm just like, well, I can't. I was looking at it the whole time, and now I can't see it. So for me, the cover just didn't do it for me. Ezra, I pictured him way different. I feel like he doesn't look as put together. I mean, the beard was cool and whatever the case is. I just, like I said, I would think that he maybe would have had, he doesn't look rich. Maybe he would have had Cartier, just cufflinks, a Rolex, just something to make me know that that's Ezra off the bat. And like I said, with this, if I was looking or browsing on like any online bookstore or even in person, I would walk right past this cover. It does nothing for me. It's my favorite book in the series, but when it comes to the cover, no, I don't like it at all.
Right.
But overall, so how would you rate the covers on the 1 to 5?
The cover?
Yeah, Alexis, sorry.
I liked all of them. On a 1 to 5, 5 for the first one, 4 for the second one, 5 for the last one. I think the first one's my favorite. First.
I would give a 5 for the first one, a 5 for the second one, and a 4 for the third one.
I would give a 2 for the first one. I didn't like it at all. A 5 for the second one, and a 5 for the last one.
I think I did something. And I would give it altogether a 4 just because I really didn't like I really didn't like the last cover, so I would give it a 4, a 4.5. I would say a 4.5. So basically, now we're gonna get to the pricing. If we can make this quick, each book goes up in price. The last book ends up at what I think is it $6 or $7, $6.99.
It's
99.
Oh, $6.99. All right. So, Saida, you can start off. Lisa, jump out just because I can't see you on. Oh, you back in. Okay. So, Saida, you can start off.
I know why you picking me.
Yeah.
So I get what you're doing here. The price. So I have Kindle Unlimited. For our readers that have Kindle Unlimited, it's awesome. So I was very pleased that the first book was on Kindle Unlimited. Download read great. Second book, same thing. The third book, I had a mini meltdown because I was like, well, damn, like, so now I have to spend $6.99 to get this book. I kind of got into it with Cherie. We made up afterwards, but I don't know. So, I mean, it's all right. So it's not that I never want to support the authors. I guess in my mind, I was thinking about it as I already have a subscription for $9.99 a month. For me to pay $6.99 now for this book that's not on Kindle Unlimited, that
Your voice
typically
is breaking
is.
up.
Can you hear me now? Is it better? Hello?
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Huh?
Yeah, say what you
Okay,
meant.
so so what I was saying was that because I have my subscription to Kindle Unlimited is $9.99 a month, so it's like, damn, now I gotta pay $6.99. So it's like $16 for the month. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be frugal, but I was like, well, damn, I don't really wanna. So it kind of had a tug of war on myself about buying this last book. But then someone that I love so much so graciously gifted it to me.
Me.
But I definitely see the power. I definitely see the move that she made by doing that. But eventually, it ended up on Kindle Unlimited anyway, so I don't really know what that was about. But overall, the prices were fairly decent. If you didn't have Kindle Unlimited, I think the first 2 books were maybe like $3.99.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I thought it was good. The pricing was okay. It was decent.
Lisa?
I agree with the prices. I think the first book was $2.99. The second one was $3.99. No, $2.99, $3.99, $4.99, $6.99, whatever the prices were. I do have Kindle Unlimited as well, but I did purchase these books.
Mm-hmm.
A reason why I did purchase them is because I truly believe they were worth having. I I spend money on books. It's one of my guilty pleasures. So I didn't feel any kind of way. I did read them on Kindle Unlimited first. Let me say that. But once I purchased the books, I did not think that they were not fairly priced. And the last book was not on Kindle Unlimited. I did just purchase it like the first day it came out. And that's saying a lot because at one point I purchased 2 of Love Belvin's books at one time on Nook and Kindle because something happened with Amazon where Nook published it first. So I'm that person. Like if I know this is something I want to read, I'll pay for it. And I paid more than $6.99 for a book I really wanted to read. And being as though this was the last book in the series, it was kind of like I don't even know what happened. Not tomorrow, not 6 days from now, today.
All right, so basically with me, I didn't think nothing was wrong with the price, and I always think that independent authors have to they charge the least and they do the most. So that's I don't ever really have a problem with it. I did think it was a power move. I don't think people saw it coming. I don't even know if people recognized what she did. It kind of just maybe went over a lot of people's heads. That later on it was on Kindle Unlimited. I think that was smart because a lot of people do have Kindle Unlimited who might not be her audience yet, and so people will take a chance on you when you do have your books on Kindle Unlimited versus when you know, it's not on Kindle Unlimited. So I think it was a smart move, a smart thing to do. I think she have a lot of loyal followers, or readers, I'm sorry, who would read her book as soon as it comes out. Now, me, on the other hand, I love Belvin, but I don't read her book the exact day, the exact day it comes out, or even a week after it comes out. I do read it later on. So
Much
I
later.
didn't mind. I didn't mind it. And of course, yeah, I did gift it to a couple of people before I read it. So I think that independent authors they get we go hard on them, but their books are like $3, $3, $4, $5. If we was to get another book by author that's signed to a major publishing, you about to pay $15, $12,
Right.
$14. And so when I think about it like that, it's just like, and some of those books be corny, no matter who they sign to. I don't care who they with, they be corny. And so, and a lot of these independent authors, they don't even make that much money. When I started like looking into it and broke it down, most of them got jobs. Like, they can't like retire off this money. So I think, and they edit, they do their cover designs. So I thought it was cool. It was nothing wrong with the pricing to me. I thought it threw people for a loop though, some people, because you weren't like expecting it. And then you saw it on Kindle Unlimited.
Right.
I'm just like, damn. Now, maybe it was somebody else, I would have cared. But in this point, I didn't care.
Yeah, for me, like if it had been somebody else, I would have cared. But she's an autobiography author, so the price didn't matter to me. Price usually doesn't get to me anyway, because most times I buy a Kindle book and a paperback if I really love the book or series. So
That is so nice. Not get me on everybody hardcover. Uh, so okay, now we got to cover the pricing. Your pre-thoughts. Was this your first time? Was this your first time reading the author? I'm gonna say no for all y'all. Just answer for y'all. And how did you hear about the author? So I'll start with Saida.
How did I hear about the author? So, a former friend of mine had brought it to my attention at the time that we were talking, and she was like, "Yeah, this is really good author, Love Belvin." I'm like, "I never read her stuff before. What are you talking about?" And then I think I
I'm gonna
had
just
saw
take credit
Sharice
for
say
all of
something
that
about. Let me get
because
this
I
download.
told that person and that person told you, but go ahead. I'm gonna let you be great. It all comes back to me. But go ahead.
What?
I said I'm gonna let you be great because
Well,
I
whatever,
told
Sharice.
that person.
No, this person hinted to me first, and
How you?
so it might have been simultaneous. But I give you your props, Cherie. Thanks, Cherie, for putting me on a Love Velvet. Okay, I said it here first. Um, I heard about it through two people, um, and I read her work, and then I just was like, once I read it, I was just sucked in. It was just like I couldn't stop. I was being consumed. And so I read every and all the series that she's put out, so including what Cherie likes to call the standalone.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
No comment. Alexis.
I heard about the author from the author. She contacted me when I was still blogging, so that's how I heard about her work. When I first tasted her work, I was like, I don't know about this author, but with her first series, but she grew on me, and then after that, I kind of like sucked up all her work. I just like couldn't get enough. So, I went from one extreme to the next with her, but that's how I heard about her from her contacting me.
All right, Lisa.
I also heard about the author from Cherie. She posted, I think, the book on Instagram of
You
her
pimp.
and then I kind of just started following the author on my own and staying up to date with her work. So,
Oh, I like how she just put that shit on my own because after that, we have nothing to do with each other no more. I'm just messing with you, Lisa.
how did you
Okay.
hear about the author?
Oh, I found the author like dead serious on some Amazon.com, and I was like doing like trying. I had just finished a bad book series, and I was looking for another series. No, I promise you I would say the name of the series, but you know what? I'm gonna let people be great. It just wasn't for me. and I saw if you like this book, you might like this person. And I always tell the story because I thought,
like that.
yeah, I just clicked on it. Like that's what I'm saying. I just clicked on it and I saw the her first series was a whole series, and so that's how I ever found out about her. Nobody I knew was reading her or anything, so I didn't even have anybody like, oh, was this good or was it bad? And because it was a completed series, her first series was already completed at that time, I bought all of the books because I like a long read, and I loved it, and I kind of like just kept rocking on ever since. So that's kind of how I found out about it. So low-key, if I would have never read a bad book series, I would have never got to Love Belvin.
It'd be like that.
Maybe it would have reached someone else. I don't know. But we're going to move on to the first book and come here with Ezra. And so we'll start off with Saida. What are your thoughts on it? If you could summarize it real quick.
So if I could summarize the entire series?
No, the first book.
Is that the question?
The first book, yeah.
Hello?
The first book.
Sheree.
The first book.
The first book?
Mm-hmm.
Summarize the first book. If I could summarize the first book, I would say it's kind of like a boy meets girl, but it's like a boy meets this really domineering man. Like I don't know. Come back to me.
All right. Lisa, because Lisa gonna take us to church.
Yes.
Lisa gonna the skies opened up and it was love and it was amazing.
No, I didn't like the first book.
I'm talking about the way you speak about anything.
Yeah.
I didn't like the first book. Like, these were the first set of characters I actually read from this author that I was not drawn to either character immediately. Like, I didn't like Lex. I understood Lex, but I didn't like her. Like, it was nothing special to Lex for me. Like, it was just, and maybe because I'm a around the way girl myself, and I was just like, all right, so, like, and Ezra got on my nerves. He was a douche. He was just so douchey. He was not nice to people. He was not very transparent, and I felt like he kind of pulled the wool over homegirl eyes a little bit. But I felt like she went for it at the same time. And the first book, it was a good read, and I think in retrospect, it was a good read for the series. It wouldn't have been a good standalone. Like, if this was all we got from these two characters, I would have been very disappointed with the book. But I give it a solid 4. It was written very well. Mm-hmm. It introduced a lot of interesting characters to each of the characters' different lifestyle, and I give the book a solid 4.
Alexis?
I like the first book. I love the opening scene. I liked Lex. Ezra, I was just like, yeah. I think, he was purposely written to be not douchey, just she slowly revealed him to us throughout the series. Whereas
that's a way to put it.
Yeah, like, everything was like pretty much up front with Lex, but with him, she just slowly revealed it, and I kind of like how she did that. But for some people, they don't like that, so I know she caught like a lot of flack with that. But I like them. The more and more I got to know them, huh?
No, I thought you were done. Go ahead.
And like Lisa said, it was very well written. She had really good themes strewn through it, like, Lex and her hand issue that she consistently did. In her Harlem Pride, like, I just liked the little themes through it too. So I loved it. I liked the first book.
Saida, you ready?
Yeah, I'm here. All right, I finally got my thoughts together. Thank you for being patient with me. Mm-hmm. The first book, I fell in love with Lex. I liked her so much, and I don't know if it's because I just like Lex's like resilience and just how she was. I really liked Lex, and I liked Ezra too. I did think Ezra was a little bit of a dick. I can admit to that. But there was something about him that I did enjoy. I think the thing that made me a little uneasy was just like, how is this gonna work? Like, a minister and a regular ass around the way girl. Like, what's the premise here? Like, how is this going to tie in? So I think that was the thing that kind of like was like, I don't know. And it was like unconventional, like this minister that has like all these has a healthy sexual appetite. And I was like, okay. And I think what we did, I think at one point we did do a review in the book dorm when it was called Dorm Room Book Club. And one of the things I was just kind of like it was something alluding to like, you know, people have this misinterpretation that church folks don't have a sexual appetite or whatever the case may be. And it was just I felt like Ezra touched on that in some way, but it wasn't in a distasteful way. It was very tasteful. So I really enjoyed this first part of the series. It was really good. I would definitely give it a 4.
I guess it's up to me now. Okay, so the intro to the first book was like one of those, like, shout out to everybody who go to church every Sunday and read the Bible, because it definitely reminded me of the Ten Commandments on Easter. It was like the heavens opened up, he's in another country. You know, it's doing a lot. And when I first read it, I was like, yo, what is this? Like, I really didn't know where I was at. I didn't know what was the point. I just didn't get it. It was everybody kept on saying it was so moving and so amazing, and I was just like, no. It wasn't. When I read the reviews, everybody was just like, oh my God, this is so, you know, the skies
It was
open
a
for me.
unique opening. You got to give her that. It was unique.
It was a unique opening, but I wasn't moved.
Because even Christian fiction writers don't even take it there.
No, what I'm saying is, upon just reading it, my initial reaction when I read it, I put the book down. And for me, I always give books until 30%. 30% you got me. And then I have to, like, move on with my life. Life is too short to read bad books. Somebody should put that on a T-shirt. But what saved the book to me was Lex. To me, that's who I liked the most. I felt like she was really cool. She was down to earth. She was a round the way girl, but she was very smart. She was very witty, I felt like, and she knew what she wanted. With Ezra, he was too annoying. He was too controlling. He was too dominant. He was too much of everything all the time. And it was just very annoying, because it was like I think, shifted her life a lot for him. And I think that he didn't know how to communicate with her at all. I think we realized that midway through the book, that he has never been in a normal relationship. So I guess I gave him so much credit because he was all of these things. He was so smart. He has money. He's a pastor. And, you know, he's very, you know, forward everything. But on this part, he wasn't. He didn't know what he was doing. And so for me,
pushing 40 and he's never been in a relationship?
Yeah, so to me, in that part, it was just like, yo, what's going on? But once I found those things out, I felt like, yeah, he was still annoying. But to me, like I always say, Lex to me saved the book. If she would have wrote the character any other way, I wouldn't have read the rest of the series. But she did saved the series to me in the first book. Ezra just wasn't doing it for me at all. Only thing that was great about Ezra is that he looked good, and it seemed like he knew what to do in the bed early on.
I have a question for you. I'm sorry to disrupt the flow of things. I have a question. You don't think she got what she initially went into the relationship for, though? Think about Lex's character in the first beginning of the book. Mm-hmm. She wasn't for the stuff that she ended up wanting. So I can't feel bad for her, because I feel like this is what you signed up for. I'm sorry. You can roll your eyes, disagree with me.
I am rolling my eyes.
You can't roll your eyes.
I am rolling my eyes. You said you can. I am rolling my eyes. First
I said,
of all,
you can roll your eyes all you want.
I know. First of all, wait. Time out. Break it off. In this instance, Lex, I wouldn't say that she was a victim. No, she was not a victim. But I think that she was under I don't think she knew all the way. I think she made a survival decision, and she just chose to do what she thought was the best. Because at this point, she lost her job. She didn't have any money. It was so much going on. She was going to lose her apartment. It was like, okay, the worst thing I could do is go live with a man who's a pastor who has mad money, right? And we could just set up the situation where we live together. We do a lot of other things together. But he courted her. He courted her very intentional. He was more intentional about her. So it's like, even though she thought she had a decision in it, she really didn't have that much of a decision. Not with Ezra being who he was. He could have chosen anybody. It's just that she had an attitude to match. He chose her. She did not choose him. She just went along with a decision that was already made.
I agree that he chose her. I'm not going to argue that. I just feel like sometimes we take up for people who I feel like in this adult life that we live, like, come on, like, let's be real. If this was real world, hypothetically, you made a big girl decision, like, pull your panties up and be a big girl about it. Like, that's just how I feel. And that's just why I did not really relate to her character. And maybe because I am in my later 20s. I know I am an around the way girl technically. I know the hardships of life. I get it. I sympathize on that level. But I also know if somebody came and offered me that kind of proposition and I was in that situation, sometimes you gotta pull your big girl drawers up.
Well, would you have taken the proposition?
Honestly, probably not. I would have shut Ezra down. Like, probably not. That's just me knowing the kind of woman I am. I'm not here for all the hoopla. Like, I'm a little bit different. Like, I'm a little bit different kind of lady. I don't care. We ain't talking about Asmere. We talk about, like, I'm a little bit different kind of lady. Like, look, listen, baby. You got something, but you ain't got it. We good. Deuce.
I think
I'll shut that word.
I'm gonna let it go, but I'll say this. I don't think that she had the upper hand ever. I think she thought her character, her own personality traits, she was strong enough to handle what he was dishing out at certain points, and even her strength tested a lot. Any other girl, like Precious or any of these characters, any of these girls that probably were drawn to her, they wouldn't have been able to get into the ring. Even she got her ass kicked, but she was able to at least make it to the ring. And I think that's why I like Lex, because everything that he did was so intimidating on any level. And maybe because I know a lot of alpha males and I know a lot of people in high positions. Like, I have pastors who are men in my family and all of those things, and people who are, like, you know, guys that are very educated and stuff like that, so that are aware of who they are. Once somebody is aware of how much power they have, it's a different spunk about it, you know, about them. And I just feel like she was able to still hold her own. And so she wasn't a victim, but I don't know. I can't call it, but I still think that.
What do you rate the book overall, though?
Oh, overall, I gave it. I think I give it a smooth 3.5 because I really didn't like Ezra in the beginning. I like Lex more, and I think I said this before. If Lex was any type of different character, I wouldn't have read the rest of the series because it would have just not been interesting to me. But luckily, I'm a person that will keep going and see how people evolve. And by the second book, it all made sense. So
okay, let's roll right into the second book.
Roll right into the second book.
Go ahead.
I'll talk about the second book first. The second book is In Love with Ezra. Okay, this is where it gets very tricky because this is where, to me, I was on Lex's side the whole time, and I was still Team Lex, but I was very much so Team Ezra. This is when we realized everything about Ezra. And the thing is, it was so bad because I knew that Lex was eventually going to leave him because he was so accommodating to her physically, but he was unaccommodating to her emotionally, even spiritually, and he's a pastor. And so that's when I knew she was going to have enough. And she had already started falling for him. At this point, she fell for him. She was in love with him. Clearly, the book is called In Love with Ezra. And I know that he was in love with her. If you ask me, he was already in love with her at the same time. What happens is that even with the best of intentions when it came to Ezra, he's very robotic in his ways, and which why I kind of understood who he was, because I'm sometimes very robotic when it comes to certain things. So I know that even with the best foot forward, people will receive me cold or like not inconsiderate necessarily. They'll receive it cold, even when I'm trying to be like the best ever. And every time he was talking to himself in his head, I was like, yo, Ezra, you just gotta switch it up. You gotta do better, because she doesn't get what you're giving to her. Like, he already in her mind lays it out as if it's just gonna be a contract, right? And so now everything that he does to kind of accommodate her feelings and everything else, it's not being received. Because you hear her on her, and he's only doing this because, you know, X, Y, and Z, I need to shut down my feelings. But he wasn't. He just didn't know how to handle himself. He didn't know how to handle his feelings and the things that he had, his own situation, his own demons and everything. He wasn't aware of them yet. You know what I mean? Because he excels in everything. So imagine a person who excels in everything. Now you're trying to tell him that they have a problem, that they have a flaw. He's a pastor. He's a scientist. He got money. Everybody loves him. He looks good. He knows how to sex good. Everything he's always done a grade A in, and then you're going to tell him that he has an F. he's a solution oriented person. I think he approached her that anything that she had, this was a problem. So if you wanted more of me, I'll do something to give you a solution. But it wasn't an emotional solution. He didn't know how to exhibit that it was emotional. Like, he didn't know how to connect the dots. And I think that's why I kind of started like caring more about Ezra, because he didn't know what he was doing. Not like he was just being a shitty guy on purpose. Like, guys really are just shitty. And he was just being that type of guy. He didn't know. And so when she got fed up and wanted so much more, he thought he was doing everything right. And it was just like, damn, when at the end of that book, when she said Trinity and she was out, I was like, yo, Ezra. He didn't even know. He was like a deer in headlights. He did not know it was going to come. But on
spoiler alert.
I mean,
Spoiler alert.
But on Lexi's point of view, if you ain't read the book, stop listening to me.
That was the right.
Yeah, on Lex's side, it's like she had enough. It's like after a while, she had to start doing what was best for herself. And in that point, that's when I totally got her. It wasn't about just Ezra. It was about everybody in her whole life, her giving out so much and not taking care of herself first. When she did that, she didn't even consider where Ezra was coming from at this point. She was done and done and done. And so she just cut off everybody. At that point, she wasn't taking calls. She wasn't doing anything. And so I got her. But I was just like, damn, if she would have just stayed with it a little bit longer. But at that point, as a woman and everything else, when you done for real, even though you're still in love, you have to remove yourself. And usually it's physically, whether it's not taking a person calls or whatever the case is. She wasn't strong enough to do, because she was in love, but she was strong enough to leave the house because she knew that she was still weak, put it like that. So I love that book. You know what I'm saying? 5 out of 5.
What was your rating, boo? What was your rating?
I said 5 out of 5. Bloop, bloop.
Lex.
4.5 for me. Just to piggyback off what she was saying, yeah, he wasn't deeming the results he wanted, and I think that really messed with him, and it kind of messed her up too, and also with her falling in love with him and the reciprocation being off. I think that messed up the flow. But I agree pretty much with Sharice said. It was a good book. I really enjoyed it.
Better go ahead. Agree with me. We here. Me and Lexi's here. Go ahead, Saida.
Huh?
You gotta skip. It's like Uno. Go ahead, Saida.
Oh, okay. I love this book. I feel like so everything you guys are saying is very relevant, because if you really listen to everything, the review you gave, Shree, which was like 10 minutes long, and the quick thing you said, Lisa, Alexis, it was just more so like what Ezra and Lex were going through, or what all men and women go through in the context of a relationship. You know, as women, we set out to have one thing, and we say we're okay with the way things relationship develops. You just have to be the stuff, because maybe in the beginning you didn't have any non-negotiables, because you was just going with the flow. And as you develop and you grow in that relationship, you start having some things. Nah, I'm not tolerating this, but it's just like I enjoyed that. When you see the process of the relationship, I felt connected to Lex, because I feel like a lot of women at some point in either your current or past relationship, you go through that where it's just kind of like, yo, this is what we signed up for. No, I'm this. And I feel like this, like her thought process, his thought process is just very similar to what every man and woman goes through, whether you are around the way girly or not, or you a minister, or you just a regular guy on the corner. Like, everybody goes through the same thing. So I connected a lot with the story. This particular series in the story in the series. Sorry, guys. I can tell you who I didn't like. I didn't like Nairi's ass. Okay, I had a couple conversations with friends, cause Nairi is some Nairi, and I was just dying to bust Nairi up. I was just waiting for it. But I did appreciate this particular series, because at the end, as Cherie so eloquently spoiled for all of us who maybe haven't read the book, which she don't care, is that she did have to walk away. And then sometimes you do in relationships, you do have to kind of like look back and say, I love you, but not enough to stay in this kind of situation. So I kind of cried at the ending of this second book.
Did you cry for Ezra, or did you cry for Lex?
Huh?
Who did you cry for, Lex or Ezra?
I cried for both of them. I did love her, but sometimes sometimes I feel like women, like the way you grow up, or sometimes you don't know how to reciprocate that in a relationship, and that does come out. And if you see the dynamic of the relationship that Ezra had with both his parents, you could see that he wasn't a kid that connected. He didn't connect with. I believe it's that he didn't connect well with his parents, but he connected well with his grandfather. And I feel like sometimes people, it's like different. Everybody has different love languages. Okay, so I want to be told.
Oh shit!
Apparently, I'm messing up and I'm jumping in and out. Can everybody else hear me?
You are going. Can you come out and go out and come back in?
All right, go ahead, Lisa. We're gonna go ahead. Go ahead. Just start it off, Lisa. Go ahead on yours a little bit.
Oh, I was gonna let her just come back in. It's not gonna take her 2 seconds, right?
2 seconds has passed. Oh, she's back in.
So shady, yo. You're about the shadiest person I know, child. Honey.
I'm a stickler for time.
I'm gonna ask Ezra to lay hands.
It will be welcome.
I think you mean it in an inappropriate kind of way too. Saida, go ahead, man.
Oh, the only thing I was saying was, am I heard? Am I good on my sound now?
You good. Stay there, you good.
Okay. So I think my last point was just that everybody just shows love the way that they feel like that's the best way to know how to show. So I feel like Sheree said, Ezra was always in love with her. However, he's not a passionate, I'm gonna be all over you kind of guy every day, smooth, like PDA type of person or whatever. And sometimes those things you gotta kind of teach. You know, if you gotta teach those things to someone. Like, I like PDA. Okay, well, I'm willing to compromise. I gotta meet you halfway. The interesting part about this is they weren't boyfriend and girlfriend. They were husband and wife. So it was just kind of like, damn, like, who has time to teach this shit in a marriage? There's some shit you gotta teach when you married each other, not when you already married.
But I feel like that happens in marriages. I think that's what actually happens in marriages. I think that at some
No, but see, no, it shouldn't be happening in marriage. Because if it's happening in marriage, you shouldn't be married, okay?
No, I wasn't. You didn't let me say my point. My point was that I do think that.
No, because I ain't gonna let you finish.
Ooh!
Go ahead.
Yeah, I do think that is something else. Lord have mercy. Clutch my pearls. I do think that in marriage it does happen that way. I think that at certain points people fall out of love or whatever the case is.
It's very true.
And then they go back to like the basics, dating. They go back to meeting each other at the bridge. They go back to those same things that they had to go through in the very beginning. The thing that Ezra and Lex didn't do, they didn't court all the way. They didn't do all, and when we get into the third book, kind of rolls right in. They didn't do all of those things in the very beginning. It kind of was a little bit, but they were already under this contract situation, so they didn't even go take it all the way out. But I do think in marriages that happens. That actually happens in marriages. I ain't married, so you know, any guys out there watching, how you doing? But what I'm saying is, I do feel like that in any relationship, even in best friendships, and y'all break up and come back together, it's a level of trust and a level of whatever that you have to go back to get, you know, it's like a reset button. That's just my opinion. But go ahead, Saida.
You entitled to that, girl.
I know.
You get on my nerves. Ooh. So Saida actually touched on two of the points that I wanted to make. My first thing was just a quick overview of did I not like the book? I did like the book. I gave it a 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
I will be the oddball out here. I connected more with Ezra than I did with Lex in book 2.
Yeah, maybe you ain't the oddball out. That's who I became cool with in the last book. I mean, the second book, it was Ezra.
But this went from me not even liking either character in the first book to me actually liking Ezra more than Lex in the second book. And maybe because I get Ezra, like I get the alone time, and this might be the only child in me kind of coming out. But like, I've lived alone for most of my adult years. We're talking about somebody who was on their own even in their late teenage years, and this is a grown man approaching 40. Like, I don't know if people realize how old Ezra is when they're reading this book. This is a grown ass man. Like, yes, going back to book 1, he went at Lex with this, but she also agreed to it, and she had to agree to what he was. Like, this is a grown-ass man. Like, you about to try to rewire a grown man, and granted, rolling into book 3, yes, we get to that, but we have to take into so many things into consideration on his part He grown. They dated for what, 4 months before he proposed. They met in February. By July, they were married. Like, come on, like, who really, like, that was not a death of time. And not only that, they weren't dating and getting to know each other in that time. They both had so much going on in that time, which at the time took priority to whatever they did have going on in their relationship. She had just lost her job. Her dad had just came home from jail. Ms. Rima was sick. He happened to take over the pastoral position for his father. His dad getting sick. Pressures pursuing him. We can sit here and throw stones all we want, but we live in a real world. We know. We know how these things can take away from stuff that we're trying to establish in a relationship, married or not. So then
Right.
what I didn't like about Lex's character is her going from being this tough around the way girl in book 1 to being so naive in book 2. Naive in her friendships, naive about her father, and naive about Ezra. Like, she was so clueless to me. Like, and it bothered me. Like, I just wanted so, and maybe this is one of those things where it's like you want more for somebody than they want for themselves. I wanted so much more for Lex. Like, I just wanted Lex to thrive, and she did not thrive for me in book 2. She really sunk. It was like she threw herself in so many sink or swim positions, and she sunk until like the end of the book, and she was like, oh, now I'm going to make these great decisions for myself to better myself. And Ezra kept telling her, I want you to do better. I want you to be better. I want this for you. And it might not have been the most romantic thing a woman has ever heard, but I'll be the eyeball out. I'll take a man pushing me. I can do romance. I can bring the romance. She ain't romance him neither. Like, let's be real. She did not romance him either. Little things she did that she thought were dutiful, but did she romance him?
Is that a question, or is that you just leaving that?
No,
Like,
I
Hold
agree.
up.
She
I want
didn't.
to add to I want to add to Lisa's point, because that makes a lot of. I like what she said, especially about
Yeah.
the age point. Ezra's 40, and Lex is in her her 26, 27 in the book.
She's 20.
Huh?
No,
29. She's 29. She turned 40.
she's 30.
Mhm.
Okay, she's only going to be 30, and you got to understand. And you know what I also talked about at that age, like, as we get older, your vision of what love is very different. For her, love was like, it might have been sex and all this sex and like all this, like, all over me, and all we read in the books that we read. And his version was, no, love for me is taking care of my woman, making sure she's good, making sure that I'm not only saying I'm going to support her, but I'm taking the necessary steps to provide the space for her to feel supported, i.e. getting her a job at the church, getting her a car.
Wait, he didn't get her a job at that church.
All right, time
Yeah.
out. Time out. All right, let me go back to, because that's my second point. What I love most about Ezra in book 2 is not only did he show he was going to be a provider for Lex, he showed he was going to be a protector of Lex.
Yeah.
And for me, the biggest thing your husband can be as the head of your household is your protector. He's supposed to be a buffer between you and the world. How he reacted to everything Lex went through, even protected her from her own daddy, baby.
Yeah.
Honey, listen, I was all Team Ezra after that. After book 2, I'm going to wrap this up, because after book 2, I was Team Ezra. Not saying as a woman I don't get why Lex had to do the stuff that she did, but that went back to her childhood. It went back to her friendships. It went back to her previous relationships. And I truly do not believe that you can have a healthy relationship until you get over the broken relationships of your past. And eventually she took that time to do so.
Girl.
And I don't think her intentions were ever to leave Ezra permanently. I don't think that was ever her intention. She just needed to figure out what
he needed to wake up.
And he needed a wake-up call. And I think in a lot of relationships that people come to that point. But I give the book a smooth 4.5. I was Team E after the reading it, and at the end I was like, this heifer here. If I was her friend, and another thing about Lex, she ain't had no real friends. That's what one of her problems was.
She didn't have no real friends. If you ever wait, because I need to say something here, because one thing that I don't like that everybody kept saying in the reviews, everything else, a provider and somebody being in love with you, two different things. Mm-hmm. He was a provider, and I think that's what threw me for a loop when I started reading a lot of reviews. And it was like, well, he provided for her, so why, is she so upset? Because he wasn't showing that he was in love with her. Yes, he was like 1,000 years old, but I think that we all gave him a lot of credit because he excelled everywhere else. When it came to Lex, he flunked. When Lex came to him, she didn't know what the hell she was doing. She was just trying to be a survivor. In her personality traits, she is a giver. She gave a lot to, she started going to church. Like, she was going to church, sitting in the pews, dealing with his crazy ass family. She was doing so much. She even tried to stop cursing. Like, she tried so hard.
I'm sorry, Cherie. I just don't accept that. As a woman in her late 20s, I cannot accept that because what she signed up for initially is what she got. You wanted to be out of this financial predicament. You wanted somebody to provide for you. That's what she wanted. When he asked her what she wanted, she didn't say, I want butterflies. I want to feel giddy. I want to be romanced. I want to be courted. That's not what she said. And I blame women for not sitting with yourself and being honest about what you want. Sometimes as a woman, you have to sit with yourself and be honest about what you want. Lex had a lot of damage, and she never really recovered from it. And
what I'm saying is that things change. In any situation, you might go into anything saying, I only want this, I only want this, I only want that, I want that. We are humans, and that means we are all inevitably flawed.
Let me pause you right there.
She went into it one way, and she went
into
the survival mode.
At what point did she go to Ezra and say, something's changed? So you can't keep blaming him. It's a two-party.
What I'm saying is that Lex came into it under a certain set of rules. Things changed for her. As a woman, she started having these feelings with Ezra. They were having sex. They were very intimate, and he definitely pushed her a lot with sex to make her open up. He made her open through sex. He literally was stripping her down. If people didn't realize that, he would always go to her with anything that she was hiding or trying to hide in her physical, like when she wasn't in, whatever world, he would have sex with her. That was his way of communicating or getting what he needed from her. She wasn't ever able to do that with him. You get what I'm saying? He always had the upper hand.
I'm sorry. I understand what you're saying, but I disagree. She never came to him as a woman and said, you're not meeting you. She said, you're not doing this. You're not opening up. But she never said, my feelings changed. She never said, I need more than what you initially offered me.
Ain't know how to.
She might not have the word.
That was part of the problem. I felt like no communication with certain things. Only time I remember her communicating something specific is when she was like, you don't pray with me, Ezra.
Hold on. I need to hear that.
You don't pray with me, Ezra.
Yeah, she's like, you don't.
Lex, why you use that voice?
You don't pray with me, Ezra.
Because I felt like that's how she was, all woe is,
Go ahead, Saida.
All right, we're going to roll into the third book. Wow, I'm mad. I felt like we went through 5 books already. Lord. We're going to go into the last installment.
You start with the last installment, boo.
No, I'm going to let y'all, all right, let me go. Okay, for the first one, I really didn't like it. The second one, I fell in love with Ezra specifically. And then because I came into it, I thought it was a story about Lex, and I thought this was going to be her life journey, right? But what threw me, what I should have caught it was how the opening was designed for Ezra, obviously. This book to me became a love story. It became the most regular love story that you will ever have, and I think people thought it was so different. No, it was a love story. 2 people, coming into they came into a situationship, but they ended up getting married, and their situationship was a marriage. So that was kind of different. But they started meeting each other at the bridge. They started dating. They started doing all of the intimate things that you would want. And I was so happy with Ezra because he finally saw that he had the issues. It wasn't just Lex. At one point, nothing Lex could do was right. She just was always wrong. She showed up places drunk. She didn't really know how to dress like that. She didn't know how to be assertive. Like, she was just always doing something. And then at one point, he realizes after a conversation with the book author, might I add, she threw herself in the book like twice. Love Belvin, the author of the series, threw herself in there, and she became like an actual component in the book because he definitely said he became clear when he spoke to Love Belvin about the whole box situation. She used an analogy about him being in the box with just him and God, and then, that's it. Everybody's outside the box. With this, you have to bring her into your box so you can have a healthy marriage. And I think once he realized that, okay, it's not just a one-way street of her being the problem and that he had something to do with it, it became him now trying to fix it. Because at the end of the day, Ezra is a man of God. So this is why he was always going to win in essence, because he had a core and something to go back to when it comes to marriage, when it comes to love, when it comes to patience. Every time he had a situation, which I thought that was really good, he did always go back to the Bible. He seeked something higher than himself. He didn't seek his friends. He didn't seek, he had a lot of smart friends. He sought the Bible, and from there he used that as his outline. And then I think using the Bible, it helped him, and then noticing what he did wrong, and then he started to court her, and then it became a nice love story because she was resistant in the beginning, and then you kind of see how the ties started to change because she was always in love with Ezra. He was always in love with her. By the second book, he was definitely in love with her. He just didn't know he didn't even know what to make of it. He didn't even know what to call it. And I thought that was actually sweet because a lot of times we get into love with people, and I think that's why they call it fall in love. You actually fall in love. There's no, like, okay, on Friday at 11 o'clock I fell in love. He didn't even know what was happening. So, and I think that's what made it a great love story. I think that's what made it probably one of my favorite love stories in this whole urban written literature community situation, because it took two people who are very different, and under any other circumstances, unless it would have been a covenant, that brought them together, they would have missed out on a banging ass love, situation. So I thought it was amazing. I loved how she brought in a lot of spiritual learnings. Even if you don't believe in God, if you don't follow the Christian faith, I think that some of the things that she said, you can use it in your life to use, and I appreciated that. So I loved it. 5 out of 5. Saida?
Wait, what did you rate the book?
I just said 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5. And shout out to I ain't gonna give out the end of the book, but go ahead. Saida.
I love this last book. I was very annoyed with the fact that Lex hid something very important from Ezra for that amount of time. I think that really frustrated me because it was just like she was still operating very much like the little girl who was abused by her parents, the little girl that got, moved around, and she was still operating like the little girl that she was accustomed to being. And I feel like maybe she was handling things because of her own trauma that she experienced. I don't really know, but that was kind of frustrating. And I appreciated that Ezra, although he showed love the way that he knew, he was willing to show love in the way that it would make Lex feel more comfortable. And I like how everything just all came together and it worked out for the both of them. And it does remind you of relationships, and that, sometimes the way you think you're supposed to start in the beginning, you don't start like that in the beginning. It becomes something else. Maybe you experience that later on. Like, there's opportunities for growth and to go back and forth when two people are truly committed to one another and want to make that be able to be flexible with one another and understand, like, the way you love me or the way I love you, maybe it works for how maybe we've loved people in the past or how we love people in the past, but we do need to change. We want to make this a real thing. So it was nice to see them finally come together and for it to be a love story, and not in like the cheesy way, but in a way that people sometimes do experience relationships. One thing that I appreciated about this book is that, yes, it was under the guise that the fact that Lex was this, this round the way Harlem girl, and he was this minister and stuff like that. But like I said before in the previous review about that's the second book in the series, they were operating just like any man and woman operate in a relationship. Yeah. Who their roles were outside in the world had nothing to do with how they were treating each other or how they were dealing with each other. Those were just the roles. Those were just the masks that they had. But inside of it all, they were just regular people trying to find love and trying to build and trying to establish something for themselves, something permanent, something solid. So if I had to rate the third book, I would give it 5.5. Even though we don't want a 5, I would say 5.5 because I really, really like this.
Nobody asked you for your 0.5 anyway. But I'm 5.5.
But you can't. See, here you go chiming in. I left you alone with your review. See, this is what you about. I left you alone, and I let you get to the thoughts out.
All right. You got it. Hands up. You got it. Alexis. Go ahead, Alexis. And just so people know, Alexis is a person in this screen. Alexis is a main character too, because I know we keep on saying Alexis
right
at the same time. So this is Alexis.
Yeah.
His name is also Alexis.
Right. It's confusing. I give the book a 5. I loved it. In the beginning, you get these two broken characters coming right off of the second book, and it was just pretty raw, and um, it was just pretty raw there in the beginning. A lot of things started to happen with like the secondary characters, and Lex and Ezra was trying to get themselves together and come back together in their union. I think Love did it in a really good way, excellent way. I like Lex's relationship with Mary. Um, and I love the progression of Lex from the first book into the third book. I loved Ezra's progression a lot. Like he really um, came full circle at the end with his wife. I thought it was written so good. I just really loved her writing.
It was such a romantic.
It was at
Very
one point.
romantic.
Yes, because at one point he was like, he touched her and he was like, I love this, you in this state, because when everyone sees you, they know I was there, even if they never meet. I mean, it was just like everything. I have
He
so
was
many
a
highlights.
Black Shakespeare, low key.
Yeah, I just have so many highlights from that book because the writing just went there. It just really dug into you, and she really dug into those characters. I just thought it was excellent.
Quick question: what was your favorite sex scene? I know that was like a throne.
What?
I was just asking Alexis what was. I just thought about because I don't think people notice this is his kink about sex is that he likes bondage and all the other stuff. So what was these sex scenes were very like
Throughout the whole series?
Intense.
it was very intense. So I have a favorite sex scene. I'm just asking. That's what I wanted to know.
Oh, I don't think I have a favorite. I liked when they were away on their honeymoon though, but I don't think I have like a favorite offhand. I don't think I have a favorite.
That Alexis is a church girl. Let me next. Saida, what was your favorite sex scene before we let Lisa wrap it up?
I feel so unloved right now.
What was your favorite sex scene, Saida?
Hmm.
What was your
Oh,
favorite?
the elevator one for her birthday, when they was in that elevator thing for her birthday.
Oh, I forgot about that. Actually,
Yes. I was on a train. I was
You was like, Lord have mercy, Lord help me.
I was like, when I get on the train, I'll be like laughing. I'm like, you better go ahead. I don't care who's sitting next to me. So who probably thought I had a mental illness at 10 o'clock in the morning reading this book? And I'm like, oh no, girl, you better get it on the train, mad loud. But yeah, that sex scene in the elevator, yes. Kudos to you, Love, for putting that in there.
yeah, Lisa.
You want me to start my favorite sex scene?
No, you can start your your ending of the book, the last book.
Well, my favorite sex scene is in the third book actually, and it actually is when Lex flips the script on Ezra the first time that they
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was good.
they break up, and she kind of flips the script on him, and she like dominates, and I'm like, yes, like I rooted for her. Like you show it, like this is how a man is going to communicate back that way.
Right.
Show him what that feels like, and I feel like that kind of like Ezra was like, oh,
He was like, Lord, he didn't know what to do.
He wasn't ready. She was like, and she was like, and if you touch me, we done.
Yeah,
And
I was like, yes.
that in my chest, like, don't touch her. And then on top of that, it really explored his need. Granted, they were having a physical moment. His restraint to me showed his emotional need for her, and that connection. I know a lot of people probably bypass that, but to be living that kind of lifestyle for 20 plus years and to have this one person come in and just change it all up for you, that's deep. Like that takes a certain kind of self-control that I don't feel like if he was connected to her emotionally, he would have been able to ignore it. Like he just like, I'm doing what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? So that was my favorite sex scene. Book 3, I say this all the time, it's my favorite book. I agree with Saida, 5.5. And the reason why book 3 is my favorite book is because it could have been a standalone. where we begin with those two broken characters on even playing ground, both of them in their own heads about trying to figure out how to make this relationship work. It really could have been a standalone. You could have read this as just the love story. Like, and we get enough background from both characters in the third book to understand why they are the way that they are. So it's not like we're like, granted, all of the character development in book 1 and 2 was great, but book 3 really just took you where you needed to go with these characters. What I like the most about book 3 is we saw Ezra as a person and not a pastor. We saw him go through the heartbreak of losing Lex. We saw him go through the heartbreaking of losing his mother. We found him going through the heartbreak of Lex keeping a huge secret from him. Like, one of my favorite moments in book 3 is when Lex takes charge after his mother passes and takes him back to I don't know how to pronounce this island's name, but where she takes him back to where they honeymoon.
Magoo, I don't know.
Here we go. And so when Lex got into that person and she started taking charge, and it's a scene.
Kamagoo?
I think it's Kamagoo.
Kamagoo.
Yeah.
And it's a scene where Talia where after Lex goes off on Natalia, and Ezra really has a breakdown. Like, it's that was like the peak of the book for me. And he's like, "What are you gonna do? Leave me again?" And he's like,
"Yeah, I remember.
Make it." And I'm like, Jesus. Yeah. And I'm like shouting, like, he's not a pastor right now. He's not a child of God right now. This is a man in love. It's a man begging for his wife, his partner, his gift. This is a man who has conceded. And I thought that
he surrendered to her love. He finally surrendered to her love. Like, it was just like, go ahead, girl, but I'm going to let you finish. Go ahead.
That moment was so beautiful. It was like tear-jerking beautiful. Like, I could see this huge...
Because this was the first time he didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't have control. And I think that's why I kind of shifted towards Ezra, because I like to be in control. And when you don't know what's going to happen, and you always know what's going to happen because people come to you,
yeah. So book 3, I'm glad that Lex started standing up for herself. She, granted, she didn't. I liked it. It showed so much growth on both characters' parts. It showed Ezra as not a pastor, but a person, flaws and all. It showed Lex finally dealing with the stuff that she had gone through. Even though she finally found the source of her pain, she was able to work through that. Lex finally found purpose. That's the word I'm looking for. Lex found purpose. Lex was going through life surviving. She found purpose. And Ezra, we saw this man, and the way he's depicted, he's 6'6", all muscle, just this grandeur monument of a man. Seeing him have that kind of breakdown did something to me. Like, because he didn't even break down like that when she left. Like, he did, but he kept functioning. He kept going. So to see him have to halt himself at something to really, for the reader to grasp the depth of this relationship.
I think that at that point he knew he was in love with her. Like, he knew. It's like, the game done changed. Shorty about to make me go sit outside her house. Like, and then even when he said, "Oh, you're gonna leave me again," he at one point he definitely says, "Because you weren't really gonna leave." It was something like he was like on some you might need to go think about your life, maybe go see a therapist, but you're gonna be back here at 7 o'clock for Bible study in his house.
Right. So, but book 3, like I said, it could have been read as a standalone. It was amazing. Right. I love the vulnerability of Ezra. I love the growth of Lex. I like that she finally put Precious on her face, Jesus. I was like,
yo,
hallelujah.
I was waiting
hallelujah.
Time. Like, I was like, dang, why don't Lex know me? Because she needs to. I was so happy that I was waiting. First of all, I thought Precious was going to have a damn seizure. Because every time, it was just like, Precious, why do you keep surviving? Like, she was Chucky, Jason, every freaky monster. She just kept coming back. Like, when she did the whole situation when she made him go bust in her office, I'm like, yo, Precious, like, can you just stop for I come through this book and beat the shit out of you? Like, it was too serious.
And my second favorite sex scene, which wasn't really a sex scene, was Precious walking in on Lex giving him head.
That was so every side chick
I
in the
forgot about
world.
that.
I mean, I feel like they need to come in and they need to just see, or somebody who's like obsessed with a guy, because she really wasn't a side chick at all. That was the worst word. But it's like for her to see that, it was like,
It was
yeah.
everything.
And the fact that Lex walked out like, bam, what?
Now,
I was
Now
like,
what?
now what? What you finna do? What up?
yeah, I thought.
But that's what I'm saying about her character in the third book. That confidence, that grittiness. I was expecting that in the second book because of how she was given to us in the first book. So she came full circle for me. But like I said, book 3, 5.5. Even if you just want to read book 3 by itself, I think it makes an excellent read.
I think for me, I agree with you on that before, that it could have been a standalone, but I don't think so. This is why I'm gonna say that, because now after I didn't like the first book so much and I fell in love with the second book, it made everything make sense in the first book. Without the third book, we would have kind of still been a little bit iffy on how Ezra was as a man, and how I think it really, you had to really be taken through this whole journey, because even the opening, like, it couldn't have opened any other kind of, it could, like, when I thought about it, I was like, yo, it could not have opened any other kind of way. Like, he couldn't, what was he gonna be doing, just sitting in the pew at Bible study? What was he gonna be? Like, what would have been open? It had to be, to show the magnitude of power that he had, it had to be like on some, the sea just open. It showed that he was the man, and then it broke his ass all the way down to he was crying, talking about some, yo, shorty, like, what's going to happen? Like, it showed you this powerful man, like, he was in the sand. I don't know what he was doing, and I don't know what he was, I forgot. But then it became like this human. He became human. He became very much of a human person. So that's all I gotta say about that. My favorite sex scene was when, damn, I got so many, but the one I remember was when she said she could pleasure herself better than, ooh, and oh my god, like, he said, oh, do it right now, and I was like,
right.
And then he said, come on top of me and do it, child. I was like, oh my god.
You know what I noticed? None of our favorite sex scenes happen in the sandbox, though.
Oh, you're right, they didn't. Well, I could tell you a favorite. Let me see. I'm trying to think of one.
We gotta wrap this up.
We gotta wrap this up. It gotta be one favorite sex scene in that game.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I appreciate about Love Belvin, the author? I appreciate that she made something so taboo seem so regular. When I first read the first book, and I was like, oh, he be taking her down to this little basement and beating her ass while he having sex. I was like, okay, that's too much like slavery. Kunta can say, so I'm not about to be a part of this. By the second and third book, it was so regular. It was so regular to me. It was like, oh, this is not, I want to say it's, well, it did seem normal. I was just like, okay.
It was their life.
It was their life, but it didn't seem taboo. It seemed taboo for a pastor to like to have sex in a weird, like in a taboo way. You know, to have that. I was sitting up there thinking, like, damn, maybe the next time I see a young person, let me let it go. I'm gonna let you.
We need to pray for her. We need to pray. Lex, can we arrange this? No, Lex, I'm serious. Can we arrange this? Is something wrong with her?
I'm just saying, I'm keeping it 100 when everybody else out there is keeping it 50%. I'm just saying.
I couldn't date a pastor.
I'm just saying. I couldn't date a pastor either. I couldn't date a pastor. But
couldn't.
Overall, would you call somebody?
Nah.
You like a pastor, low key.
No, no, she didn't.
Maybe that's why she couldn't date one.
Maybe.
Okay. So overall, how would you rate the whole series? Would you tell somebody to buy it? Starting with Alexis, because we have the camera on you.
Oh yeah, I would definitely tell somebody to buy it. I'd be like, you need to read this. I tell people they need to read this. I'll buy it. Like, you was gifting a book. I do that too. Like, you gotta read this book. I highly recommend it.
I highly recommend it. Yes, I think it's a great read, and I think that what is very interesting about these characters in this book is that, like you said earlier, Cherie, even if you're not of Christian faith, you still can learn a lot about patience, about loving somebody, about communicating. So even if we just take the characters away and we talk about just the life lessons and the themes of the book, I think it's a great read for those reasons.
Saida?
I thought it was an excellent read. I've already told people, if you wanna, I've already put people onto the book and this series. People have read it and they've loved it. So this was definitely a great series. It was a great book. I would highly recommend it to anybody. I recommend all her books, but that's just me. But yeah, it was good.
All right, so this concludes the review. If you want to hang out with us, we are on Facebook. Go to www.facebook.com/groups and go to Sistah Sistah Girls with an S Book Club. And then on Twitter is Sistah Girls Sistah Girls BC on Twitter, and then on Instagram is Sistah Girls Book Club. So thank you to Lisa, Alexis, and Saida. This was the first. You might as well say this the pilot episode. We'll be back another time with another book. So that concludes it. Shout out to us, y'all.
Shout out to Love Belvin.
Oh,
Yeah,
and,
yes.
and if you want to read more about Love Belvin, because she has a whole bunch of books. She got like 8, 9 books, all right? So go to 10 books, sorry. Excuse me, I'm sorry. My bad, shorty.
Yeah, get it right. Get it right, Sheree.
Let me get it right, because y'all be on some. Okay. And shout out to all the Love Belvin readers out there. We hope you enjoyed this.
Yes.
Y'all really going to be the ones eating, tearing us a new one if we messed up anything. And to go to lovebelvin.com, that's LOVEBELVIN.com to purchase more books. Go to Amazon, and what else? Shout out to all of our supporters who support us in our book club, and shout out to everybody on the internet. And also, I think that was it. I don't have no more announcements.
And shout out and we have an upcoming Twitter chat.
Oh, shoot. Wait. Let me roll that back right quick. This for like an announcement in the church. We are doing a contest with Love Belvin. So if you read these 3 books, you have the opportunity to alter how the story ends. Basically, you read every book, and then you give us a 1 page. It doesn't have to be 1 page, but it cannot go over 1 page. I am not reading all of that. If you want to do something longer than a page, go write a book. So you alter the ending, and then you submit it to us on an email. And then if you win, we're choosing 4 winners to have something like this, a basic Google Hangout. But the catch is, Love Belvin will be here live. And if you know anything about Love Belvin, she don't be showing her face like that. She don't be letting the people know about her. She only want to be known for her books, which is a great thing. And you'll be able to ask her about, books and everything else. How did she come up with those 6?
If you alter the ending, don't forget to leave my namesake out, though. Like, don't do that. Don't leave my namesake out. Leave that in there. Leave that in every ending.
Anyway, everybody wanted.
Saida, did you know that? Saida, did you know that?
No, nobody cares either. And also, we have one more. We have a Twitter chat coming up with Guess I let you make that announcement.
Okay, so on July 7th, 7 at 7, Lucky Sevens, on Twitter, we have a Twitter chat with Ray Lamar, Nia Forrester, Jacinta Howard, and Lily Java for their book, Because My Heart Said So. And so we'll be talking to them about their 4-way collabo, and that will be July 7th at 7 Eastern Standard Time. So please join us for that.
All right, and that wraps everything up. If you want to email us at sistahgirlsbookclub@gmail.com. If you would like to possibly be a guest on this, you never know. We might be taking submissions. You ain't getting paid no coin. Just let us know, and that wraps it up. Bye, ladies.
Bye-bye.